Thanks for checking out our XFX Radeon R9 380 review. We've overclocked this GPU to 1100 MHz at the core and to 1600 MHz with the memory. We wanted to see how this performed under very memory-intensive games, so the one in particular that we focused on in this benchmarking video was GTA 5. This is indeed a very graphics-intensive game, but we also wanted to see how the 2 GB of VRAM held up under the hood. So you can see we started the resolution at 1080p, we have MSAA on at ×2, textures are pretty high, shadows are pretty high, grass is on ultra, water's very high, we turned FXAA on as well, and our motion blur is set to medium. So the settings for this game are set to fairly high parameters. Get it high, we're in the air in a plane. Okay, anyway. So what you're really worried about, I assume, is the FPS, and in this case we pulled out a staggering 52.2 FPS on the benchmark. That's the benchmark that you can access in the GTA game itself, and that's the one that we use. We should also mention that we have equipped with the graphics card a FX 6300 overclocked to 4.2 GHz, paired with an ASUS M5A97 revised 2.0 ATX motherboard. This combination proved to be a formidable force, especially in its price range. This build only cost us just under $600, so you're getting quite a bit of bang for your buck in this case. So we wanted to show you a comparison that GamersNexus.net performed earlier with a stock Intel 4790K. They tested Shadow of Mordor at 1080p and they maxed out the settings, and basically they just swapped graphics cards with the setup that they had. And obviously the GTX Titan X blew everything away. What I wanted to do was compare the R9 380 to the one above it, the GTX 970, as well as the one below it, the R9 280X, perhaps its closest competitor in terms of price point and performance. One other thing that seems to be important to a lot of people are the temps, so I compared the temps of an R9 380 to the GTX 960. We wanted to show you that there really isn't much of a difference between the R9 380 and the GTX 960 in terms of temperatures under load and at idle. So this is the same benchmark. I recorded this with my phone actually because I wanted to show you, we're not just making this stuff up as we go. This is at 1600 by 1200 resolution, which is pixel wise it's just slightly under 1080p. This is a 4:3 aspect ratio versus 16:9. So I think there's just over 1 million pixels in 1080p and there's just under 1 million pixels in 1200 by 1600. So the FPS here will be slightly higher than you get at 1080p, but you can see here that they're pretty consistent. One thing I did notice is that the card tends to perform slightly under its rated value at night. I don't know why, but when it gets dark in the game, FPS tends to drop. Maybe it has to do with shadows, maybe the fact that MSAA is on, I'm not sure. But that's something worth noting as well. In terms of the VRAM, I haven't noticed any buffering, stuttering. There are a few odd glitches that I noticed. Like see that tire kind of twitching back and forth? I don't know why it does that. It might be a software thing with the game. It might be the graphics card. I'm not sure. But GTA has like a RAM limiter. It'll let you know if you're passing your recommended use of RAM based on your card rating. You can ignore that. It's not, unless you put like 4 gigs worth of RAM data allocation in there, you're probably not going to notice much of a drawback in that sense. So going with the 2 GB card versus the 4 GB card, and for this game in particular, shouldn't hurt you. So one other thing we wanted to do, we didn't just want to focus on the video card, we also wanted to show you some CPU benchmarks. The one we focused on particular was the Geekbench 3 CPU benchmark. We just used the 32-bit free test, and we ran our CPU at stock through the test, and we got some pretty solid, pretty consistent results. We looked at the averages for our CPU and it came out about right. So our single core score was 1990 and our multi-core score was 7542. Not bad. but we kept this, I know that looks terrible, I'm sorry. We kept the stats consistent and we overclocked, and we got 2152 for our single core score and 8917 for our multi-core score. This was with an overclock of 4.2 gigahertz, giving us an increase of about 18% in terms of performance, at least for Geekbench in general. So if you haven't yet watched our building of this computer that we're benchmarking right now, go ahead and click on one of the two links. The top left will take you to the beginning of the video, and the top right will take you straight to the building phase of the video if you want to skip all the other stuff and just go straight into the construction of it. But anyway, we appreciate your interest, and thanks for watching the video. This is Science Studio. Thanks for learning with us.